All right, YouTube, how we doing? This is Dan the Man, and I'm going to be doing a review of the Sonic Tools free giveaway set that I received in the mail right before Christmas. So, thanks for tuning in today. Thought you might find the Sonic Tools sample giveaway set interesting. For those of you who don't know, Sonic Tools did a free giveaway over the last few months, and if you went in and signed up, you had the chance of getting a free tool set. I was lucky enough to get on the website, sign up, and lo and behold, receive these on Christmas Eve. So, those of you who don't know a little bit about Sonic Tools is based in the Netherlands. They are Dutch, of all things. And they're kind of one of Europe's, I guess, more premium tool brands. They are coming into the United States market, and they're priced roughly around where, at least from what I can see on their website, you know, give or take, Cornwell, Mac, Matco. Their stuff doesn't seem to be quite as high priced as Snap-on, maybe, depending on kind of what kind of discounts you can get through your Snap-on dealer. But generally speaking, we're talking more of a premium brand, or at least they're pricing themselves as a premium brand. The one kind of unique thing about their model is where the tool, kind of what the tool truck brands are in the United States, where you have a tool truck franchisee type model that comes to, has a route, businesses they service, all that. Sonic is doing what seems to be at least a completely mail order back and forth with their customers. You look at their website, decide what you want, you buy it, they ship it. If you need a warranty issue, you call them up, you send it in, that kind of thing goes back and forth through the mail. And they're marketing this as kind of an advantage because you can go ahead and not have to wait for the tool truck. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here later in my experience with that. So, where's it made? Everything here shy of the pliers, and these are right here. Shy of these, everything else is no country of origin stamp, and there is no country of origin marking on the packaging. So everything is coming out of Southeast Asia. I kind of default to if you don't tell me where it's from China or Taiwan. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad quality. It just means that that's my assumption on country of origin. So let's kind of look at what we have here in the sample tool set. One of Sonic's things is that they like the, kind of shadow foam inserts to go with their tools. A lot of their tool sets come with the shadow insert. Mixed feelings on shadowing in general, but I will say that I really do like the insert that this is coming with. Two-color foam. The tool density on this one isn't great. It's a lot of unused space. But then again, this is a sample kit. It's not meant to be really, super efficient. If you look at their the stuff that they have on their website, it's significantly denser in terms of how it's packed in, and it looks like it's a pretty decent setup in terms of organization and layout. The one thing I will say is there's some nice touches in their foam sets, or in their foam liners. I'm going to turn this up and aside. You can see how the sockets are kind of popped up. You get a lip right there. It's because they custom did that machining inside the insert. So you can kind of see there how they have it stepped. So as your socket goes in, you can pop it right out there with your finger. It's nice and easily accessible. It's a nice little touch, and it's nothing major, but it is something that I haven't seen necessarily before. And I did look on the website, and it does appear that their larger socket sets also have that feature built in. So anywho, we're going to go and start looking at the actual tools. We're going to start with the little 2.5-inch extension. Now, one thing I did think that was kind of unique about this extension is it does have this hex end put on it. It is a 16 millimeter, and the idea being you can go ahead and put a wrench on this and go ahead and crank on it if you'd have to. I don't necessarily see that as being a deal, just a game changer by any stretch of the imagination. I can't really foresee a situation where that would be absolutely necessary, but I'm a big believer in having versatility in tools, and it's one of those things that it's nice that it's better to have it than not have it. If it's going to everything else being the same, what's the problem? So overall features on on all these sets really, they do a satin chrome. It's not, kind of a high gloss chrome. And on this particular one and on their sockets, they do a nice knurling so you can use it to drive by hand with a little more traction if you needed to. Overall, pretty decent little extension. This is the one thing that I thought I might look at buying an actual set of from the Sonic website. We'll talk a little bit more about that later too. All right, second, deep 17 mil socket, pretty straightforward. Again, satin chrome, little knurling, nice clean knurling job around the bottom. The one thing I wanted to point out here, this is just a straight USA-made Craftsman 17 mil 3/8 socket, essentially the same tool. Obviously, the Sonic tool tapers. I don't know why they do this. I don't see necessarily an advantage to it in terms of the usability of the tool, or I don't know if there's some reason that I'm missing that it's there, but it is. The only thing that makes me nervous about that is that if you look at, both ends of the socket, there is significantly more metal around the base, around the socket end of this socket than there is around this one. Now, every socket I've ever seen split, I've seen split right here along the point of where the bolt was. It's the thinnest part of the socket wall. All right. This never splits down here because obviously there's a lot of metal wrapping around where it goes to the socket. This doesn't have nearly as much at the corners of where the socket is. There's going to be pressure put on there when you're wrenching on whatever bolt you're wrenching on. So, not that I think that this is a breakage hazard. Honestly, I haven't seen that many truly broken sockets that haven't been broken because they're being improperly used on an impact, but I have seen them, and I guess this would be at a slightly higher risk of breaking, but I hardly think that that's a deal breaker in terms of the overall quality of the tool. So, that's my 2 cents on that one. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of a quick shot of the other 2 tools right here before we move on to the rest. 17 millimeter shallow, basically the same as the deep, same features, satin, tapers, knurl on the end, no big deal. And the T40 3/8 short, again, pretty standard knurling, black phosphate finish on the actual bit. Pretty straightforward stuff. And again, on the tool tray, it's tapered so you can grab that right by the tip. It pops right out. So I like that. All right. Let me go ahead and take a look at the screwdriver. We have a basic 4-inch blade, number 2 Phillips, dual composite handle. That's a hard red plastic, and then kind of a softer, almost maybe TPU, a little more grippy black on there. Overall, not terrible. Not crazy impressed, but it's certainly not bad. I do like a tri-lobe design. A lot of the screwdriver companies or screwdriver design is going to this way. It does have the bulb here in the center is pretty big. I have bigger hands and it feels almost a little too big for me, but I also feel like I can get some pretty good torque on it. The one thing I wanted to compare this to real quick is the Snap-on. All right, this is your basic Snap-on screwdriver. Nothing too crazy. Everyone's seen these before. But one thing I will say that I do like about the Snap-on is that it has a greater thumb indentation. And when you're really putting some pressure on it, your thumb can push into that indentation and really get yourself some good power on it. This is almost completely smooth around the top, and your thumb will have a tendency to slip off the side if you're putting that much pressure on with a screwdriver, which, if you're doing that, you might want to use a different tool anyway. But point being, another feature I like on the Snap-on is the hex around the base of the blade. I don't necessarily know why Sonic wouldn't do that. This doesn't add a significant amount of cost to the screwdriver, especially since we're going for more of a premium market. You'd expect more premium comparability in the features of the tools. So I was kind of surprised when I didn't see that. But overall, it doesn't look terrible. In terms of the quality of the bit, with a lot of screwdrivers, what it looks like now and what it looks like under 6 months of heavy use are 2 completely different things. And you really don't know what the wearability and durability of that tip is going to be until you sit there and actually use it for a while. So time will tell on this one. I've used it for a couple things. Seems fine. No problems with it. All right, let's look at their basic line wrench. This is 17 millimeter. Again, all the tools in this that were sized were 17 millimeter. it almost has kind of that Stahlwelle look to it. It's pretty straightforward, a little bit on the thin side, and I will say that this is significantly thinner than a lot of the wrenches that you'd find. This is the Tekton 17 mil, just to give a comparison. A lot of people have these, so that'd be a good comparison. You can look in here and see that the Sonic Tools is significantly thinner than the Tekton. Now that has its own advantages and potentially disadvantages too in terms of strength, but in terms of accessibility, you might be able to, do maybe a packing nut or something with this where you wouldn't necessarily be getting on it with the Tekton or another standard sized wrench. Also, you can kind of see it. The head is just about a 1/16 smaller around the head. So you have a slightly smaller head on the Sonic Tool wrench. Overall, not bad quality. I think that it would be fine. I think it'd be more than serviceable. Nothing that I would be too concerned about. All right, let's take a look at the ratchet. We have a basic ratchet. Again, we go with the satin chrome. Nice positive click on the selector, on-off selector. It is locking. There's your lock button to release your ball. You have a composite handle, which I have mixed feelings on. I have, I like the fact that you can get a little bit more grip on these, but I have one of these that got something on it in my garage that I have no idea what it is, but it's still sticky to this day. Never an issue with my chrome tools. But overall, I think if you're careful with it, it should be fine. Tooth count feels a little bit greater than the 40s, a little less than the 70s. It doesn't feel quite as high as 72, but I did not take it apart to count the teeth. But it seems perfectly serviceable for what it is. I'd be okay with it. All right. Lastly, we're going to look at the pliers. All right, these are made by NWS in Germany. And NWS is also running their current line that they're working with Irwin. And the heads on these are almost the exact same as the Irwin tool line that they're working on right now. So if you're familiar with those, you're familiar with these. And this is kind of the more the European style lineman's head, which I personally find handy for certain scenarios where you need to get in somewhere a little bit tighter. It beats the kind of the fatter nose on the Klein style, US style lineman's pliers. The one thing that I do find kind of frustrating about this, and this is just general tool design, nothing against NWS or Sonic, this drives me crazy. This stuff up in here, all these little facets and carve outs, and I don't need a lot of this in my tools, because what I see when I see this is something that maybe looks cool, I guess, initially, but here in 6 months is going to be jammed up with a whole bunch of crud and grease and everything that I'm going to need to take out of there with the tool brush to get it cleaned up again. Just don't give me more work than I need. So one thing I do want to point out too is these are a little bit on the gritty side, but I've seen that before. I'm sure they would, smoothen up fine over time. It's not that big a deal. In here we have nice sharp teeth. These are sharp. If you actually touch these, they have a pretty good point to them. Here, let me see if I can show you this. This is almost like kind of like a 12-point socket setup inside the pliers where you can reach in and kind of grab onto a bolt. And to that, this is a 9/16, and that kind of gives you an idea of how I think that the designers of the tool expect them to work. They grab pretty well. I think obviously they're not made to be exact because it's a pair of pliers. It's going to change size depending on the bolt you need. But one thing I don't necessarily like is that where these teeth up here are sharp, these down here are a little bit rounded off. Almost like they're kind of going for the rounded side so you don't tear up the bolt when you are trying to take it off. Now, well, I appreciate them looking out for me. I will say that in terms of if I'm, pliers, if I'm trying to take out a bolt with this thing, we've already abandoned trying to save that bolt. I could care less about saving it at that point, especially because this right here, if you see how shallow that is, that's only about 3/32 of an inch right there. I don't have a lot of grip on a bolt on this thing anyway. So the fact that these are a little bit on the loose side because they're not quite as sharp, I don't care. I want that thing sharp. I want it to grab onto the nut, and I want to be able to hog that thing off of there with everything I got and throw it in the trash and replace it. So I think that these are going to be okay. They're not terrible. I mean, they're okay. I'll put them in the toolbox. Again, similar to the other tools, we have a dual composite handle. We have a sticky on the black and a little bit smoother, a little harder on the red. They're certainly not bad, and I'll be happy to use them. So that's the overall take on this particular set. Now, I just wanted to kind of throw out my thoughts on Sonic Tools in general. I'd mentioned before that I had tried to contact Sonic to maybe order a set of these. And the reason I wanted to contact them is because if you go on their website, you can't just order a set of these in 3/8 or like a combo set of quarter, 3/8, and half. You can only order them individually, or you can order the massive like drawer size set that comes with sockets and wrenches and everything you might not need. I have a lot of tools. I don't need everything. I just really want like maybe a set of these because I do like the fact that it has that hex end. It seems, I don't know if it's available or not, because when I called Sonic, I've called them 3 times at this point, left a message twice to call me back, and they have yet to call me back. And I'm a little bit concerned about that because their entire business model seems predicated on the idea that you call us, you don't have to wait for a tool truck, and we will get you what you need. Well, if I got to wait for you to call me back and I can still get the tool truck in a couple days, what's really the difference? And so I'm a little bit concerned about that. So I don't necessarily know that. I would think that if I was going to really get into doing business with these guys and give them any kind of significant money, I'd really want to see some customer testimonials or have just some really seriously warm, fuzzy interactions with their customer service department to kind of convince me that this is worth, kind of the risk. Because these guys are new in the market. They don't have a long, the longevity or the history that Snap-on, Mac, Matco, Cornwell, all these guys have. So I would be a little bit concerned about that. Also, their sets seem to be more geared for those people, like maybe in school, that don't necessarily have all their tools yet. That they're looking for maybe a turnkey setup. Their deal is to have tools and storage solutions at the same time. So you can just go in and kind of buy what you need for an entire drawer rather than buying piecemeal sets. I personally like buying piecemeal sets. I have a ton of tools. I don't need to buy an entire drawer of tools just to get a few extensions. So this is probably, unless they can kind of custom tailor, what they're selling, I don't necessarily know that I'd be super interested in buying, but that's me. I mean, if I was somebody different and I was maybe starting out and wanted more of a turnkey setup, all the same manufacturer, so I only have to deal with one person, one vendor when I'm trying to get stuff changed out, maybe that's perfect for me. I'm just saying it might not be, it's just not my thing. So that pretty much wraps it up. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions or if I can help out anyway, feel free to leave a comment. Feel free, go ahead and subscribe if you like, and if you have any requests on new videos, I'm listening. So thanks a lot and have a great day. Bye.